What is Supreme Leader Snoke's true identity? We all know that Supreme Leader Snoke is the master of the new villain, Kylo Ren, who is the grandson of Darth Vader. We aren't certain if he's a traditional Sith Lord like Emperor Palpatine. We do know that he's the evil mastermind lurking in the shadows, however. This alone has sparked many different theories that try to solve his true identity. Some theorists say he's Anakin's new body, or he's Mace Windu out for revenge against the Skywalkers, or Darth Jar Jar, and the most likely of those theories is that he's the rebel pilot Porkins. That one's probably the closest they got to the true answer. After investigating the 7 movies and the new anthology film Rogue One: A Star Wars Story, I think I've figured out the true identity of Supreme Leader Snoke. First, we had to look at all the people that are part of Snoke's evil mastermind plot. I arranged this diagram so we can understand the hierarchy of Snoke's enforcers. Jar Jar's at the top of the list, and he was tasked with giving Palpatine emergency powers. He was never really a pawn, he was more along the lines of giving Palpatine the thumbs up that the plan was in action. Palpatine's role was to corrupt Anakin Skywalker, who was believed to bring balance to the Force. This was brought up by Mace Windu, whose role was to pretty much sacrifice himself so Anakin would turn to the dark side. This explains why Palpatine's duel with Mace Windu was very underwhelming. They were actually working together so that Anakin would believe that he was attacking Palpatine. Anakin was supposed to be Snoke's apprentice, but then Snoke found out that he's not the most adept at jumping. This would set back Snoke's plans for about 20 years. He would eventually learn that Anakin's son is still alive, and he would want to turn him to the dark side. But as we all know, that plan failed as Luke became one of the greatest Jedi Masters in all history. Snoke would have to wait again for about another 30 years until the point where he has Kylo Ren, aka Ben Solo, as his new apprentice. Now there's one person here that truly brings all of these characters together. Luke's Uncle Owen is the final piece of this puzzle, and I'm about to explain why. I used to believe that he was Snoke, but then I realized that he's involved with one character that has made it into every single Star Wars movie to date. The biggest clue that we were given by the creators is that Snoke was around even during the times of the prequels. Only 2 characters in the entire franchise have appeared in every single movie, if you exclude Darth Vader's mask in Episode 7. The 2 characters actually happen to be the most iconic characters in the entire series, R2-D2 and C-3PO. You would think it's R2-D2 considering he's pretty much the Star Wars equivalent of a Swiss Army knife, but you would be extremely wrong. George Lucas has stated that R2-D2's role in all of the movies is to save the heroes whenever they're in peril. 3PO, on the other hand, he seems to whine a lot whenever they're in danger. It's almost like he's purposely trying to be useless, even in situations where he can initially just start helping the entire group. He's even shown a desire to kill Jedi. Think back to the original trilogy. Does this scene look familiar? Well, it should. Remember when the Millennium Falcon's crew was about to get eaten by Ewoks, and 3PO said that it was against his programming to impersonate a deity? How about that time when he looked like he was surprised when he found out that Luke and the others weren't crushed by the trash compactor on the Death Star? Now remember when I said Owen was involved with this entire thing? He owned 3PO 2 times in 2 trilogies. When Anakin was a slave, he probably felt the lore of the dark side and he went on to create C-3PO. After Anakin won the boon to Eve pod race, he had to leave his mother and 3PO behind, and then they were given to the Lars family. Shmi was kidnapped and tortured by the Sand People, and that prompted Anakin to go over and slaughter all of them. And who did he reunite with prior to this? Why did 3PO go along with Anakin when he was going to go and save Obi-Wan? Why does 3PO's body walk into the conveyor belt and put on the battle droid head? 3PO has even interacted with some of the people in the diagram I showed before. Jar Jar and 3PO even work together in an episode of the Clone Wars where they're trying to save Padme, who is part of their plan to turn Anakin to the dark side. Who let Palpatine know that Anakin and Padme were married? Remember when Owen was asking 3PO if he spoke Bocce? Well, that's just a code phrase. That means, "What is thy bidding, my master?" This also explains why Owen didn't want Luke to meet Ben Kenobi, because he knew that Ben was going to teach him to become a Jedi. And remember when C-3PO had that red arm in The Force Awakens? Well, that wasn't really 3PO. That's actually a decoy so he can spend his time training Kylo Ren so he doesn't make the same mistake he did with Palpatine and Anakin. These are all the details that lead me to believe that C-3PO is in fact Snoke's true identity. Leave a comment that gives me details on why the theory is true, or if you want to, you can just disprove the entire thing altogether.